Hello and welcome to the next video of my ADE Discord Hall of Fame series, where we're going to go over my Hall of Famers voted on by the Discord. Reminder, if you have a problem with who's in the Hall of Fame, vote on the Discord. The 9th class is up right now. I'm finally getting some of these videos out now because there aren't games to talk about. GorillA was voted into the 2nd class. Yesterday we went over Mata. Today we'll go over GorillA. And then the next video will be over the next support that is actually in that class, so I don't have to change my board as much. And then we'll go over the other players in the other roles. But so GorillA, longtime player, played for 8 seasons, starting in 2013 at only 18 years old. Over his career, he had 215.1 Hall of Fame points from 13 to 2020. Hall of Fame points are something I determine based off of the sports reference websites. They have Hall of Fame monitors and things like that, so I thought, why not do one for League of Legends myself? And I did, and went back in history from day one of season 1 in all the major world's qualifying regions, and did it all the way until present day, and then continuing to do so. And every year we will have a Hall of Fame vote for the classes. And GorillA had 215.1 points. That's a mix of stats, his stats that he put up, as well as accolades that I determine based off of his stats, and performances and results. So 215.1 Hall of Fame points. His most played champions: first, Alistar, which ranked 5th all time. Second, Tahm Kench, which is 3rd. And Thresh, his 3rd most played, is ranked 10th. So those 3 champions account for 33% of his games played. 1 out of every 3 games that GorillA played, either Alistar, Tahm Kench, or Thresh was his pick. Yesterday we saw with Mata 41% of his 41% of his games played were his top 3. For GorillA, it is 33%. As far as highest win rate, his best champion with at least 20 games win rate wise was Trundle Support. 80% win rate, 16-4 in his career. That ranks first amongst players with 20 support games on Trundle. Hackney and somebody else have outstanding win-loss ratios on him. Hackney like 16-1 or something, and I forget who the other player is. Just absolutely disgusting win-loss ratios on Trundle Support, which I think is quite a thing. Second is Jana, which had a 72% win rate, which ranks 5th all time. And then third, Tahm Kench, 67%, which ranks 8th. For highest KDA, Trundle was his best at 737. That ranks 1st. Second is Jana, 5.14, which ranks 10th all time. And then his 3rd best KDA came on Morgana at 3.98, which ranked 10th. So his Trundle Support by far his best champion, followed by Jana. Despite those 3 being the most played, those were the champions he had the most success on. Now, GorillA played on many different teams, many different iterations of teams, as teams were bought out, changed names, and things like that. So I simplified this board in some parts. So in 2013, in summer, he would join Najin White Shield, and he would play in 9 games with a 2.94 KDA. That resulted in only 0.71 Hall of Fame points. Then in 2019, he would take over as the starter for Najin White Shield, and in winter play 19 games, have a 2.99 KDA. Keep in mind, Prey was his duo for a long time. Prey and GorillA were tandem in the bot lane, a one of the strongest duos in LCK history. In spring, he would play 21 games with a 2.88 KDA. Return in summer, and in 11 games, have a 2.75 KDA. So not a lot of improvement. But in the playoffs of summer 2014, in 10 games, Najin White Shield would win the playoffs with a 5.73 KDA. For GorillA, they would then go to Worlds, play in 10 games, have a 3 KDA, 78.4 KP. So GorillA has his first performance on an international stage in a 32.66 Hall of Fame boost. And a lot of that had to do with their summer playoff performance, because really, you think about it, he did not improve all that much from winter to summer in stats, but in the playoffs is when they took over. At 20 years old, in 2015, he would join what would then become pretty much Rocks Tigers eventually, but at first it was like Hua Tigers, Get Tigers, Coup Tigers, like Tigers. So we went with Tigers. In the preseason, in 2015, he played 8 games, 4.8 KDA, 68.2 KP. In 2015 spring, he would win his first regular season split. In 31 games, he had a 4.5 KDA, which ranked second amongst supports in the region, and a 70.9 KP. I did realize doing this, he was definitely a KDA player, not as much of a facilitator when it came to support. In the playoffs, they would bomb out. In 3 games, he had a 1.8 KDA, 67.5 KP, not go to an international event. In 2015 summer, he would return 42 games, had a 3.7 KDA, and a 76.1 KP, which ranked second amongst supports. And that would actually be the highest KP he had in his career in a regular season split. After that, we did not see another 3 out of every 4 kills for GorillA. In 11 games in the playoffs, he would put together a great performance, 5.2 KDA, and that high KP continued at 78.8%. He would then go to Worlds with the Tigers, and in 17 games had a 3.6 KDA, 67.9 KP. So a little bit of drop off in KP, but still another solid performance out of GorillA, and that would be almost 45 Hall of Fame points in 2020. In 2021 with Rocks Tigers, he would finish second on the All-Pro team in spring. If you haven't watched my previous videos, for some silly reason, I did not actually write down who I had as All-Pros, 13, 14, 15, even 11 or 12. So they get points for it. They got their points, but I don't remember who exactly did it, and I could go back and do it. But, I mean, maybe one day I'll figure that out. But, nevertheless, I know 2016 onward, I thought about it and said, oh, I should probably write this down. So 2016 summer, 2016 spring, GorillA would be second All-Pro support and win the split. In 41 games, had a 5.7 KDA, which was first in the region, and 72 KP. But once again, bomb out in the playoffs. In 4 games, 2.7 KDA in a piss poor 47.3 KP. So less than half of the kills GorillA was involved in that loss. In 16 summer, they would return and win the split. So that was 3 out of 4 splits, regular season splits, that GorillA won with this Tigers roster. In 40 games, had a 4.2 KDA, which ranked first again, and a 69.3 KP. And this time in the playoffs, they would excel, and in 5 games, win outright to be able to go to Worlds. Had a 3.3 KDA, 70.3 KP. At Worlds, in 16 games, he had a 3.6 KDA, 66.8 KP. So on this board alone, he had 43 games at Worlds. Definitely a player that should be remembered for his international prowess. A player that was excellent throughout his career, deserves a lot of credit. I know that now we're in the 9th class of Hall of Fame voting, and it's not as interesting because we don't have as strong of players that are, retired. But GorillA in the 2nd class was very deserving. So 45.3 Hall of Fame points, so almost the same as 2015. And we'll actually see from 2014 to, I believe, from 2014 to 2018, a pretty consistent output in terms of his career, and pretty much stayed about, that 2nd, 3rd place team in the LCK pretty much, when it came to international performances, and we'll get into that in a second. So on to the second half of GorillA's career. Okay, so in 2017, he would go from Rocks Tigers to Longzhou Gaming. I don't know if the team name changed. I think it did, because Rocks Tigers became Hanwha Life. So in 2017 spring, in 45 games, he would lose a split, go 2.5 KDA, 64 KP. But that is not the end of his story, because in 2017 summer, he would win the split. So he wins another split, 44 games, a 4.2 KDA, which ranked 3rd, and a 65.8 KP. You see the KP drop significantly from those 70s numbers to below 2 out of every 3 kills as the meta shifts. In the playoffs, they would win the playoffs to be able to go to Worlds. In 4 games, had a 7.5 KDA, 63.3 KP. At Worlds, I gave GorillA third All-Pro support at Worlds. In 9 games, had a 4.5 KDA and the best KP at 80.1%. So despite the whole year being under 2 out of every 3 kills, in those 9 games at Worlds, he was 4 out of every 5 in terms of involvement and had 42.38 Hall of Fame points. 2023, Jesus Christmas. At 23 years old in 2018 with King Zone, now known as DRX, he would win Spring. So once again, won another split. This would be the last split he wins. In 40 games, had a 5 KDA, which ranks second among supports, 66.7 KP, and we finally get some vision score in here, 2.39. We talked about Mata yesterday and how much vision score was a big part of his career, and really showcased his ability to find opportunities. And for GorillA, it seemed like he did not grasp that as well. In 4 games in the playoffs, they would win to be able to go to MSI. Had a 5.8 KDA, 80.2 KP, 255 vision score per minute. At MSI, King Zone would play in 18 games. GorillA had a 3.1 KDA, which ranked 3rd, 66.7 KP, and a 2.31 vision score per minute, which was 3rd. That would not get him in the top 3 supports at that event. When he returned in summer after that MSI result, in 43 games, he had a 3.3 KDA and only a 59 KP. So under 3 out of every 5 kills. His KP continued to drop. 2.43 vision score per minute. In the playoffs, they would struggle. In 4 games, had a 1.3 KDA, 67.1 KP, 2.3 vision score per minute. This would cause them to be dropped to the regional finals. And in the regional finals, they would lose hard and not go to Worlds. His first time not going to Worlds in, I believe, 5 years. In 3 games, had under 1 KDA, 61.4 KP, 2.38 vision score per minute, and he would have under 39 Hall of Fame points that year. And that would end his LCK stint at that time and actually cause him to be imported out of the region. And in 2019, GorillA would play for Misfits in Europe. In Europe in 2019 spring, he'd have 18 games played, a 2.3 KDA, 67.5 KP, and a 2.26 vision score per minute, and not go to the playoffs. In summer, I had him as my second All-Pro support behind Ignar. In 2019 summer, he had, in 8 games, a 2.5 KDA, but a 71 KP, which ranks second amongst LEC supports, and a 2.3 vision score per minute. But didn't go to the playoffs, didn't play any playoff games, didn't go to international events, so only had 3.8 vision score per minute. 3.8 Hall of Fame points. He would end his career in 2020 in the LCK. So 1 year in Europe, returns to Korea, and plays for Sandbox Gaming. In 2020 spring, he'd play 38 games with a 2.9 KDA, 69.7 KP. Remind you, this is at 25 years old. 2.13 vision score per minute, so the vision score really low. Their record was so bad in spring that they had to play in promotions in 2020, which they would win. In 7 games, had a 4.5 KDA, 70.2 KP, but under 2 vision score per minute. And this team would not get much better in summer. In 40 games, he had a 2.3 KDA and only a 63 KP, 2.1 vision score per minute. So really, after that 2018 MSI result with King Zone, GorillA kind of just fell off. His career just wasn't quite the same. 2018 summer, 2019 with Misfits, and even 2020 with Sandbox. He had 6.52 Hall of Fame points that year, but in terms of getting anywhere, it wasn't like the heyday of his career from 2014 to 2018 when we're seeing him go to international events. 43? Let me do the math. Yeah, 43 international games, 52, 70 international games over his career. Definitely a player that will be remembered alongside Prey. Definitely a duo that we can, it's hard to talk about one without the other, but I tried in this one. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.